Am I naive for being optimistic? Considering the state of the world, I often ask myself this. And sometimes it's true, I don't know how to answer. Because, politically speaking, especially, everything is going to poop, right? Like, I'm not gonna get into this, but it's just not a good time to be alive, I guess. And I often struggle with my optimism. Like, is it toxic positivity at this point? But then, when in history, as a normal, everyday person, could you be able to just be alive and not have problems? And any time in history could have been the worst time to be alive. So then again, if there's no point in being optimistic, is there a point of being pessimistic as well? Because it's all repeating itself to some degree, no? I truly think things will get better, and then things will get worse, and then things will get better again, and so on and so forth, because that's what always happens, you know? Life doesn't just remain positive or negative, it goes through stages, very regular stages, That's the same with history and whatnot. I don't think I am toxic in my positivity. I think I'm pretty realistic, all things considered. I'd say it's toxic positivity the moment you don't acknowledge the negative part. And I'd say I acknowledge the negative parts. It's just that I choose to focus, and I have a tendency to focus on the positive side more often than not. Which is, I've seen on the internet, in some ways, it's seen as coward behavior, as naive behavior, that you're not focusing on the negative. But if positivity can be toxic, can't pessimism be toxic as well? Like that's just how words imply other words. If it's toxic to be purely positive, it's automatically toxic to be purely pessimistic as well, negative, right? I think it's just important to hold on to whatever you can at this point. Like, a lot of the negative things that are happening to people are things out of anyone's control, right? And so if you can't control it, worrying about it to the point you fall into depression doesn't help you. Have to think about yourself here to some degree. The way your pessimism is a way where people can just protect themselves from the hurt that comes from believing. Optimism is a way for people to defend themselves against helplessness, right? That's what I think, anyway. And it's just important to hold on to whatever small thing you can. Just because you can't get a job doesn't mean the sun doesn't rise anymore. And it's very hard to stay positive in these circumstances, but it's important to not forget that positive things are still out there, regardless of what's happening. It's important to just stay in the present, and when you encounter something, acknowledge it for what it is, because it can be either negative or positive, and depending on your point of view, you can just ignore the other part sometimes. It's easy to do that. That's why it's easy to ignore the small positive things that are happening around you when you're in that mass of pessimism. I say this as someone who has gone through like at least 2 major depressive episodes, and have been depressed all of my life. It's not that bad. It can be worse, I guess, but it can also be better. Anyway, thanks for listening to me. Thanks for watching the speed paint. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And if not, I hope you will have a wonderful day. You will have a wonderful day, that's what I'm saying. Bye bye.